we now have on the phone, we're going live on Radio 2 to the house of Sooty and Sweep, and a man called Richard Cadell. Good evening, Richard.
Hey, Scott. Hey, Sarah. Yeah, we're here. This is Sooty and Sweep's house.
Hello.
And it's great to see you. Sooty's actually watching you on the telly now.
Oh, that's weird. Hi, Sooty.
Hi, Sooty.
Obviously can't speak back.
I'll get him over. Come on, say hello, Sooty. Come over here. Oh, he's gone everywhere. He's on the phone now.
Was he fallen over? What happened?
He's just on all the... He's waving at you now, and he's... Oh, look at you guys. Waving at you, looking at you. Sarah,
What's going on?
Bouncing from feet to feet. We love it.
Oh, OK. And is Sweep there as well?
He is there. Do you want to work with him, Scott?
Please.
Sweep, can you come over?
This is too much.
This is a career highlight.
Sounds quite aggressive.
Do you understand that?
Yeah. He's not going to sleep anytime soon, is he? No, we were going to play a game of 80s Trivial Pursuit with you, Sweet, but we don't know how to do it. No one can remember. No one can remember because we last all played it in the 80s. Do you have to choose a cheese?
Yeah. Choose your colour.
Choose your colour. What, Sweet, what would you like to be? Yellow, OK. Fine. And Sarah Cox?
I'll be green, please.
OK, and I will be brown, please.
I'm going to go green for the colour of my skin.
This is just to keep your mind alive, you know.
Go.
OK, so roll the dice. Sweet first, and that is a 1, 2, 3, 4. OK, so you got 4 there. You're orange. OK, Sweet. Answer me this question: who won Scotland's only? I actually can't believe this is happening. I mean, heavens know how you feel. I'm a bit tired. Who won Scotland's only gold medal at the 1986 Edinburgh Commonwealth Games, Sweep?
Ooh.
Liz Lynch is the correct answer. Yes. 4 points on the board. OK,
Sarah's go?
Sarah, go.
Yes.
Okay.
Do I need to throw the dice?
Yes, please.
I'll do it in a dance style. Woo!
Somebody taking charge here who knows what they're doing.
Yellow.
Toss that
Yellow.
dice.
Thank you.
Here
Sarah
we go.
Cox.
Yes.
Which country's radio first permitted pop music in 1988 but banned Roll Over Beethoven as being disrespectful to Ludwig Beethoven?
Was it...
So they first had pop music on the radio in 1988.
1988?
Not before then.
Was it, what are you doing? Are you doing something with your eyes or just twitching?
No,
okay,
I'm just
sorry.
twitching.
I thought you were trying
Itchy nose.
to point on the world map with
Which is
your
my
eyes,
face, yeah.
which is your face.
No.
Okay, so let's think about it logically. So if they didn't have a lot of pop music, was it North Korea?
No.
Oh,
China.
oh, China.
No points.
Not in Asia, so do I get half a point?
No.
Okay.
That's not how it works. OK, I'm on a 3.
Green.
Green, OK. Oh, I won't be able to do this. You right there, Sweet?
Get Scott in, I said. He'll keep the tunes coming, I said.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
him on and look.
There will be a song in a minute.
What's happening now?
I know the answer.
I'm so jealous.
I'm so glad it's green. Which duo announced the most amicable split in pop history shortly after topping the charts with I'm Your Man?
Oh, come on.
Wham!
Yes.
Yeah, that was an easy one.
And he's off.
So...
That's it. Another round later.
Oh, great!
We've got
Fantastic.
To do till 2.
Yeah, we have. There'll be more of that later if you want to take part. Sweet, really nice to speak to you. Send my love to the rest of the family, to
Thanks,
Sooty,
Sweet.
etc. And do you want to just say good luck to Sarah because she's dancing for 24 hours? It's really hard.
Come on, Sooty, you say it as well. Sooty's here as well now, Scott. You say it, Sweep.
Good. Thank you, that's lovely.
Thank you.
Sansu, my love, we still need that girls' night out, yeah?
Yeah.
Will do, I'll tell her.
History is slightly more recent. Sooty and Sweep, British children's TV royalty since the 1950s, were discovered by Harry Corbett, nephew of the fish and chip tycoon Harry Ramsden, who acquired Sooty in Blackpool, notorious for bear trafficking, in 1948. He made them Stars and Sooty, and do you remember Butch the dog? And they were all taken on by Harry's son Matthew, and then from the Corbett family into the care of Richard Cadell, who recently called in at the Saturday Live studio to meet JP.
growing up as a kid. Yeah, I used to watch the shows, and when I was about 4, I think somebody bought me the Sooty and Sweep toy puppets. So I became a little bit obsessed with Sooty and all the magic tricks. I was seeing Sooty with his Izzy Wizzy Let's Get Busy magic wand and all that
Yes,
stuff.
of course, yeah. And of all the characters, Sooty, Sweep, Sue, Butch, there's quite a few actually.
Yeah,
Was Sooty here your favourite?
Here he is. Do you know, actually, no, it was probably Sweep.
You had to whisper there. I wonder what Sooty made of that, of you saying you preferred Sweep.
Well, he's used to it, aren't you, Sooty? Yeah, that's right. Oh, he said he does like me very much still, do you? And, yeah, if I cut my fingernails regularly. That's right, that's the deal. No, we all love each other. Well, it's different now. It's different now because obviously then I was a fan of the show. Now I'm running the show. And the only way to make this work is to treat these little people like they're my children. So I do love them all the same. Sooty, Sweep and Sue.
Now, you obviously know the Corbetts. You knew Matthew Corbett.
Spoke to him yesterday. He's a great pal.
What sort of influence have they had on you then?
Well, I grew up watching Harry Corbett. I remember the transition to Matthew. So to say how they've influenced me, I would say I'm a sort of a mixture of everything. I take a lot of Harry's routines. I take some of Matthew's funny lines because he's a very funny man and wrote some great material. And I like to throw in a bit of me as well. But it's certainly a great influence and an inspiration.
Because it was like a sort of a family business. Do you think you're carrying on that Corbett name now?
Well, I'd like to think so. It's hard to take on such a dynasty, but none of his family wanted to do it. So when he retired, it was a question of either finding someone else or it stopping. And I'd been a guest on the show when I was a kid, and I'd always had this obsession for the show, and they got me in and interviewed me, and before I knew it, I was taking his place. Yeah, that was nearly 20 years ago.
Tell me a little bit about Sooty and Sweep, how the whole thing started. In fact, I think Sooty is 70 next year.
He is. 70 years, Sooty. What's that? Really? It was when you were knitted in Blackpool and Uncle Harry came and found you in the joke shop, didn't he? Harry Corbett was on holiday in Blackpool. He was a family man, not a lot of money, and they were there and it was a rainy day. And to kill the time, he took his young son down the North Pier and saw in the joke shop window this little teddy bear, and he couldn't afford it. But he went back to his wife Marjorie and he said, you know, I'd love to buy the teddy bear just to entertain the kids, you know, it's raining. And she sort of reluctantly agreed to let him spend far too much money on this little teddy bear. And Harry was doing some amateur magic at the time, and he went on to a talent competition and he introduced the puppet as part of the act, and instantly it was a hit. He was spotted by a BBC producer who put him on a talent competition, which he won, and he was invited to appear on Saturday Special. And the BBC said, let's give this bear a series.
Let's give this bear a series. They don't say that very often on the BBC.
They don't. And yeah, and the rest is history. You love meeting all the famous people. That's what
Who have you met?
Yes, he's just reminding me about the time when... now, don't laugh about it, because you were very naughty today. When he squirted Prince Philip in the face with a water pistol. Do you remember that?
That's not a good thing to do.
Well, the Queen laughed, thankfully, and that was when. Yes, I'm just telling him that when Uncle Harry had you, and I was lucky enough back in the day to meet Tony and Sherry Blair when Tony was the Prime Minister, and I was looking after you, and you soaked Sherry Blair, didn't you, in the face with water? We did enjoy that moment. We did.
Tell me a little bit about what you think of Sooty, Sweep as characters.
It's very simple. Sooty is 5 years old, like Peter Pan, never grows up. He's very clever, he's very naughty, he can do magic. But Sweep, he's 4, and he's a fool, and he gets everything wrong. So Sweep would never be naughty. People, wasn't Sweep naughty? No, he's not naughty. Sweep just doesn't know how to do things right. And Sooty uses this to his advantage. So Sooty's the clever one.
Why does Sooty not speak?
You'd have to ask Harry Corbett that. But you've got a sort of a little whisper, haven't you? But only I can hear it. What's that? Really? A bad case of laryngitis for 70 years. And, oh, I see. Well, he said actually that by not speaking, he's been able to succeed in show business longer than everybody else. Well, apart from Brucey, I'd imagine.
Would he speak to me, or does he only whisper to you?
What? You're going to break the tradition and you are going to whisper to JP? What did he say?
I can't repeat that. I can't repeat that on the radio.
Sooty. Naughty bear, really.
How do you feel being responsible for these guys now? They're in your hands, literally.
Yeah. But never three at the same time. I feel amazingly privileged. There's always one moment of the stage show that gets me every time, and I enjoy the moment. Whenever I'm singing along and I look towards them and see these little guys, but I always think, I can't believe this is me stood next to these guys doing this stuff. So I never underestimate their iconic status and how privileged I am to present these characters to the new generation. And long may it carry on. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Well, that was Sooty and Sweep. And joined by Sue, they're on tour until June, and you can find details of that on our website.
Guest, it's fair to say, is an absolute legend. I must admit, though, I'm a little bit worried about how he'll cope on radio because he's famous for not speaking, so it might be a fairly short interview. Today, I'm joined by the legend that is Sooty. Hi, Sooty. Nice to speak to you. Great. That's a bad interview. I'm lucky that Richard is with him as well. It's Richard Cadell. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Wyn. Yeah, I thought you were going to run into trouble, but Sooty's very happy. He's waving at the microphone and he hopes all your listeners are waving back, and he's got his magic wand. Oh, there it is. You see, he's really here.
I once interviewed Sweep in the
Really?
past. Yeah, it was possibly one of the toughest gigs I've ever had in the office.
Well, he is here. You can talk to him whenever you want. He's been very quiet, actually. I'm very
Well, Sweep.
surprised. Yeah, at the moment. He's got his face tucked into a little bone there and a plate of sausages.
Well, I don't blame him. Can I ask you a question first before we start really talking about the show?
Please do.
Do you ever stand there and question your sanity?
Do you know there's a moment in the show when I do, and there really is, Wyn, but it's a great feeling, because as a kid I used to watch the Sooty show, and I always remembered Sooty, Sweep and Sue on their little band with Sooty on the drums and Sue
Yeah.
on that piano and Sweep on the guitar. And there's a moment in the stage show where they do exactly that, and it's like me reliving my childhood, and I have to remind myself I'm 49, not 6, but I'm still bouncing around and doing the head, shoulders, knees and toes or whatever it is. And that is a moment where I think, what am I doing? This is a career. What am I doing? But it's, what a great way to make a living.
And you've been doing it for a long time yourself, haven't you?
Well, yeah, people still think of me as the new boy. They all say, I used to watch you with Matthew Corbett and all of that stuff. Well, I've done it for just short of 20 years. Matthew did it for 24. Harry did it for similar, about 26. So I'm actually creeping up the same sort of time frame that Matthew did it for. But yeah, I've done it for a long time, and I've loved every second of it. What a cracking job! It's great.
How did you get the gig?
Well, when I was a young lad, I was a magician, and I won a championship called the Young Magician of the Year. The Magic Circle have this competition. Part of the prize was to go on the Sooty TV show and do a magic trick. Mm-hmm. So I met Matthew Corbett, and I did a little spot on the television show when I was 15, and I struck up a bit of a friendship with some of the crew. Years later, when Matthew announced he was going to retire, they just didn't know how they were going to replace him, and it was the highest watched kids show on ITV at the time, and they were sort of like, what do we can't show, it can't stop. Who are we going to find? And Matthew said, well, my dad was always a magician. Harry was a magician. He said, maybe we should look at someone who can do magic because they're good at manipulation and stuff. And they said, hang on a minute. What about that kid, Richard Cadell? Get him in. And my agent phoned me up and said, are you sitting down? Matthew Corbett's retiring and they want to see you. And it was like my whole world changed in that phone call.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Will you stay with me? We're going to take a break for some music.
Yes, of course.
And Sooty and Sweep will stay as well, yeah?
They will. Sweep's dying to speak to you again, Woody. He remembers you.
Great. Yeah, it's something I will never forget as long as I live. Right, more from Sooty and Sweep, and of course Richard in a few moments. And the Diamonds, that is Hollywood.
That's the way to do it, Sweep.
Spot on, couldn't have put it better myself. You're listening to Wyn Evans on BBC Radio Wales. Coming up, more from Sooty, Sweep, Sue, and a bit from Cadell Boy himself.
BBC Radio Wales at breakfast.
Good morning, Wales.
Felicity Evans.
What we're trying to do really is introduce people to the things that they need to know for their day.
Oliver Hydes.
The balance can sometimes be the real challenge between explaining what's happened and then knowing when the time is right to investigate more about why it's happened and how it's happened.
That's one of the things I love about this programme is that, over 2.5 hours, you get the time to do that.
There's Steve on the sport. We've got Benaz and Sue who bring us a weather forecast for the day ahead, and Jacob and his team with traffic and travel.
Good morning, Wales. Weekdays at 6:30 on BBC Radio Wales.
You're listening to The Wyn Evans Show on BBC Radio Wales. I'm joined today by a legend of television, Sooty and Sweep. They're being very quiet at the moment, but I'm delighted to say Richard Cadell is with us as well. So, Richard, who's your favourite?
Oh, don't do that. They're like my kids. How can you pick a favourite? Do you know, actually, I have got an affection for a character that some people might remember called Butch. He was a bulldog, and he used to appear in Harry Corbett's era and a little bit in Matthew era, and I've sort of brought him back. And he's a bit gruff, and he talks like this, and he's a little bit on the edge. And I quite like Butch, and he's in our latest stage show, and he's got quite a lot of fan feedback. So he's not a new character, so I've got an affection for him because we've sort of brought him back, and he's kind of going down very well. So, but I love them all. You know, you can't help but fall in love with these things. You know.
I want to talk about the end of tour party because we all know Sue is partial to a large gin and tonic. Does it really kick off in them?
No, what are you on about? No, she's not. Don't push me down this road, Wyn. Don't do this.
Of course I won't. Sue would never let a drop of alcohol pass her lips.
She would not love her. She wouldn't. She's a very good girl.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I couldn't resist.
It's all right.
So what can we expect from the show then? What are kids going to enjoy about it? And adults, of course, as well.
It is a family show. It's all about the audience, and there's lots of big visual gags. There's lots of joining in. There's lots of fun. Expect slapstick, mess, lots of really great magic in this show. Actually, so we've put some really lovely magic tricks in for Sooty and really funny ones. It's just a big, really good laugh. It really is a laugh for everybody, and I guarantee the children will have their attention for the whole duration. It's 2 halves, like a 35-minute first half, little interval, 35-minute second half, and I guarantee they won't fidget. It really is a very fast-moving, big, fun family show.
Now, I have some big celebrities on this show, people like Timothy Spall, Lorraine Kelly, Imelda May, but none bigger than Sooty, and I'd love you to have a go at what I call the celebrity leaderboard.
Okay,
I give you 20 seconds. Right. You have to give me as many answers as you can between the 3 of you. Okay.
Do you get Sweep over it?
Yeah, get Sweep over, right?
Can you come over from the corner?
Oh, here he comes. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm with you, mate.
We're going to do the leaderboard, Sooty. Stop tapping that. Right, I don't know what this is about.
Your topic is, in 20 seconds, Sooty, Sweep and Richard. I want you to name as many classic television programmes as you can. And your time starts now.
Oh, Dad's Army, Crackerjack. Are you being served? What's that, Sooty? Oh, yes, of course. Poldark. What the prisoner cell block 8? We nearly forgot that one. Some mothers do have them. Yes, Sweep, you were on the nail with that one.
Your time's up. Your time is up, right? You've done brilliantly. You've got 6 points. I'm delighted to say you're all at the bottom of the leaderboard, and I will have great joy in telling everybody that Sooty's at the bottom. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm delighted to say that Sooty and the guys are coming to Wales. They'll be at the Grand Theatre in Swansea on the 29th of May and the Riverfront in Newport on the 30th of May. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
To Crew at the end of May, 21st of May, you can go and see, Sooty, Richard Cadell, and, Sooty's the star. We have Richard, who is... Hello, Richard, how you doing?
You had to backtrack there, James, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, Sooty's the star. I mean, you have to be careful because I know Sooty's with you today.
He is with me, and he's very excited. Oh, look, he's tapping the magic wand on the microphone and waving to all the listeners. I hope they're waving back.
Yeah,
they better.
See. How long have you and Sooty been friends now? Because Sooty's not ageing at all.
No, he looks brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's got, but he needs to bottle it and sell it, and he could make a fortune, couldn't you, Sooty? Because you're looking better than ever. Everyone around him sort of gets older and gets lines and stuff, but my goodness, doesn't he look good? But I've been with Sooty now. Well, I first met Sooty when I was 15 years old. I was a guest on the TV show when Matthew was presenting it. But actually, my partnership with Sooty started 19 years ago.
Yes.
When I took over from Matthew Corbett. So we've been friends now, haven't we, Sooty?
Friends. Do you actually live together, you two?
Well, actually, yeah, I suppose that is. I don't really ask that question quite in that fashion, but let's go with yes. Yeah, partly because actually, because we work so crazily, we're doing this
crazy. And we have the TV, obviously. We've got a movie in production, and we've got this mad theatre tour all over the country. So we do spend so much time together that, we're pretty much.
So you got Sooty's there, because it's difficult, because obviously Sooty. I'm amazed that Sooty's never found his voice, has he?
No, he hasn't. Have you, Sooty? He's looking quite sad there. Well, don't worry about that, because actually, you see, Sooty. Now, come on, don't cry. That's the secret of his success, because it's meant that Sooty has been able to pass seamlessly. There is a joke there, I'm sure. Seamlessly. I've never thought of that before. Seamlessly from Harry to Matthew to me. There hasn't been this.
No
strange,
awkwardness there.
No awkwardness. Okay. And Sweep too.
Does Sweep travel around with you for these sort of things or not?
Well, he knew we were going to be live on the radio. He's gone outside. Can you come in, please? Come on.
Ah, yeah. How you doing, Sweep? Yeah. Really? Yeah. What? Yeah. And how are you feeling today, Sweep? Okay. Yeah. How excited are you about coming to Crewe at the end of May? Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's good. Is that good? Is that good?
Did you understand that, James?
Not really. I'm not ideal in Sweep talk at the moment.
Well, you find the longer you stay around him that you do get to understand him. There's some fans that know exactly what he's saying. What's that? Oh, did you know what that was, James? He's saying a word. You have to guess it.
Yeah. Well, he might be saying Radio Stoke.
Well, it could be Radio Stoke. It was actually sausages. Why don't you say Radio Stoke, Sweep? There you go. You've got it. You've nailed it, James.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, I would think, with Sweep being, talking all the time, I'd have thought Sooty really wanted to have a go, really, at some point.
Sweep. Well, occasionally Sweep's been remarkably quiet now for some reason, but occasionally things do get a bit out of hand. But then that is the show, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they do.
What happens at a Sooty show? Because obviously Sooty's going to be there. Sweep's going to. Is Sue going to be there?
Of course, Sue's going to be there. In fact, this is, and I'm not going to say this lightly. I've done this stage show now, as I say, for 19 years. This is the best stage show we've ever done. I'm thrilled with it. Sue is going to tap dance. This is a big variety show with glitz and glamour and magic illusions, big laughs, lots of audience participation, children on the stage. But it's a big show. Sue is going to do tap dancing, and she does a great tap dance routine. Sweep is doing his escapology, a mid-air escape in a tribute to Harry Houdini. You've never seen anything like it. Sooty's got some big illusions, and this is not a lie, built by the same builder that makes exclusively for David Copperfield in Las Vegas. We went to Las Vegas. David Copperfield asked to meet Sooty. This is not a lie. It's on his Twitter.
Yeah.
And because of that, we now have an illusion in this show, which is fabulously funny, but will knock your socks off. People are going, hang on a minute, how did that work?
Wow.
So that's Sooty. So it's a cracking stage show. And of course, Sooty's at his best in front of a live audience. That's what it was always about when Harry created Sooty. It was a live show. It wasn't a TV show. So this is where it
you say you got this illusion from America. Does that mean does Sooty do shows only in the UK and Europe, or does Sooty go all over the place?
Well, because of the internet, we have a lot of fans all over the world.
Yeah.
In terms of the reality of the thing, is that the big fan base is obviously British. He's very much a British bear. But our TV show, the one that's currently on ITV, is now screened in Australia. So we have this huge army of Australian fans. So he's big, if you like, in the UK, but the furthest possible way, distance away from the UK and Australia, he's got a huge fan base there now.
You obviously you live together. You live in the same house. Does Sooty have any? Yeah. Does Sweep live with you as well? Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Sweep, does Sooty have any annoying habits? Yeah. I thought that.
Yeah. We'll leave you to work all that out. People can put their own ideas to that.
Well, it's lovely to get you on, and Sweep, it's lovely to talk to you. Sooty, Sooty, you are there, aren't you? Still,
he is there. Look, just don't knock everything over. Hang on. Oh, no, hang on. That's it.
Okay, we
just knocked everything over now. But yes, he's still there. He's always waving goodbye. He's waving
goodbye. Goodbye. We'll see you in Crewe in May, and actually in Stafford in September as well.
Yes, we can't wait to see you all there. So, are we going to say goodbye like we do on the telly? All right, here we go. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
This is the big moment in radio. I'm shaking now just telling you. Sooty is reaching a bit of a milestone in his life. 70 years in show business, and he's on tour to celebrate. Now, he is Britain's longest-running children's programme, first with the BBC, where Sweep joined him in 1957, and then for ITV at Thames Television in the 1970s and beyond. Now, the man keeping his hand in these days is Richard Cadell. Earlier, he and Sooty and Sweep were in our London studio. I caught up with them and started by asking Richard about his earliest memories of the Sooty show.
Wow, well, I'd be a little boy. I think I was about 5 or 6. And I remember my first memory of Sooty is the little band, because at the end of every show,
yes,
Harry would say, it's tune of the week, and Sooty would get on the drums, and Sue had this wonderful grand piano that used to go round and round on Little Revolve, and she'd play away, and Sweet would be on the electric guitar, and Harry on the piano. and a huge big band at the back of them, which must have cost a fortune. Yeah. And that's my earliest memory of Sooty as a little boy.
You know, Sooty never dropped his sticks either, did he? Always the pro.
Yeah, no, he was great. It was, and it was just the camera used to go in real close up on Sue's foot as she tapped away on the.
That's right, I remember it.
Pedal. Yeah,
but you see, that was Thames Television. They put a lot of money into that show, didn't they?
Well, they did, because what had happened actually is it was on the BBC for years, and then famously the BBC decided to axe it, and the reason for that is because Harry wanted to have Sue involved in the show, and somebody said, oh, we can't have Sooty having a girlfriend. This is terrible. And they got rid and literally, I mean, Harry was devastated when this happened, and they had a phone call a few days later, literally, this is a famous story, Thames Television said, hey, you know, don't you move, you come straight to us, and we're going to throw everything at this. And they gave him all this big studio, so he went from a little tiny counter in a little studio somewhere to this big production show.
Well, that's you see that little counter was my sort of, when I was 4 or 5 years old. Sunday tea time, it used to be bubble and squeak, a slice of corned beef, glass of milk, Sooty and Sweep.
I did,
on the television,
absolutely.
and that would round off your Sunday, and then it was time for bed. And it was, they didn't exactly spend a lot of money on it back then, did they?
No, not really. It was just a very simple little countertop and Sooty with these little props, and that was all done live, you know, from BBC North.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was done. So, and some of it survives, but a lot of it was done live with no stops. So if the props went wrong, and underneath the counter, it would be Matthew Corbett, a very young Matthew, and his brother David, as literally as teenagers, if not younger, passing the props to Harry. So he would rehearse in the front room and then go to the BBC studios in the north in Manchester and do this stuff. And there was no stops. If it went wrong, it went wrong.
Do Sooty, Sweep and Sue have their own dressing rooms? Just asking.
We try and treat them very well on the tour, because they are, as you know, we're on the road all over the place, and they do get very tired with the travelling, and we do look after them. They do look remarkably good, though, for their age.
For their age. I mean, Sooty was, 60. I mean, come on. That's,
nearly 70 next year.
70 next year.
70, and still looking as bright as ever, and Sweep. They're here, actually. Shall I get them over?
Well, yeah, are they all there? Or
well,
is it
we've not got... Sue's unfortunately suffering from very bad laryngitis, so won't be able to speak.
Right.
But
yeah.
Sorry, but Sweep is here.
Oh, great.
And Sooty, come on over then, you two.
Hello. Can I just try something? I've got a little. I might be able to try. I've got a little here in my studio. So Sweep, I'm just wondering if we could try and have a conversation. That was amazing. I have spoken to Sweep and he understood me.
Yeah. He's looking very excited now. I don't know what you were saying, but I don't think he's going to share that with us.
A question for Sooty. I know he's going to have to whisper into your ear and you're going to have to tell us, but how long does he see his career going on for? He's going to keep going on and on?
What do you think, Sooty? Oh, yeah, what do you want? Oh, well, yes, of course. He's going to go on forever. Mm-hmm. Why shouldn't he? I mean, these, Yeah, he's been going for 70 years, so don't knock it. Absolutely.
And what's the relationship like between Sue and the boys? Because I always thought, I always thought she was a bit of a do-gooder.
What do you think, Sue? What do you think, Sue? You love Sue? She's a very pretty little girl. She is, isn't she? Yes, she is lovely. Do you know? No, they're very good to Sue, but Sue sometimes she can be naughty herself. You know, Sue. She's not all innocent, but she does tend to be in the middle of Sooty and Sweep's japes and jokes.
So one day we'll read a really dreadful story in the Sun newspaper about her. Will we? After all these years of thinking that she was prim and proper, we'll find out she wasn't.
I can't possibly comment.
Enjoy the tour. I hope it all goes really, really well.
Thank you so much.
And I'd like to say I've always been a Sooty and Sweep Sooty fan since I was a little boy. So it's an absolute treat to speak to you, to speak to Sooty, and also to with Sweep as well.
You're remarkably good at that, isn't he, Sweep? Give him a job. Okay, there you go. It's been a pleasure to have us on, and should we say goodbye like we do on the telly? You can join. You join us as well. Come on, Stephen. We go. Ready? Bye, everybody. Bye.
And we mentioned it just a few minutes ago, but it's the longest-running children's TV show of all time, and its star is coming to Skegness in June. Now he's very small, yellow, and very, very quiet, although his friend does make a bit more noise. It's Sooty, of course, and he's been on TV screen since the 1950s. We actually heard a clip earlier on of Harry Corbett and that famous magical phrase. His son did it after that, and now Richard Cadell is doing the duties and joins us now. And, well, Richard, you're there with Sooty and I believe Sweep as well.
I am, Chris, and thanks for letting us on. Actually, Sooty's being very well behaved, and Sweep's just popped out to get a plate of sausages, so he'll be back any minute. We'll hear the door crash, and you'll hear him. So don't be disappointed. He will be here. But yeah, you're right. I've done it for so long now. You're right. I've succeeded Matthew and Harry, and it's been a great job. A great job.
And the lineage, I mean, you know, that's a heritage TV show. It's so loved. I don't think there would be really many people in the country and further afield who aren't aware of the history of the show.
Absolutely. It is an incredible institution, really. And the wonderful thing about it is it hasn't changed. We're still doing the routines that Harry Corbett perfected in the 1950s. We're still doing them now on the telly and on the stage, and they still bring the house down. And it's just lovely to hold on to that sort of era where things were a little bit gentler and know that it still works in this fast-paced modern world, you know. It's great. It's great.
I have a question for Sooty, if that's okay.
He is here, and he's got his magic wand, Chris.
Has he?
Don't do that. Oh, he's just done the little tap. Very good. He's waving at all your listeners. I hope they're waving back.
They are, I can tell you. Yes.
Yeah, he's nodding. He knows these things. Very happy now. What's your question, Chris, for Sooty?
I wanted to ask Sooty. We've been talking a lot about grammatical mistakes today. I just wondered if he had any that really frustrated him, you know?
What? What's that, Sooty? What does grammatical mean? I don't know. I don't know. No, I don't think he does. I mean, obviously, there are some people that spell "izzy wizzy, let's get busy" very differently. Because how would you spell "izzy wizzy"? Well, how would you spell "busy"? That's the trick question here.
That is the trick question.
When we do it in the Sooty style, it's B-I-Z-Z-Y, as you see. So it's a slight kind of artistic license taken on the spelling. So I suppose that's a grammatical fault that most people make because they don't buy into the whole Sooty ethos. And I tell you the one that drives me nuts. Can I tell him about this, Sooty? Yeah, he's agreeing. Is it Sooty, Sweep and Sue, and Sue is spelled S-O-O.
Oh,
and
right.
so many times we'll read the press stories and they'll spell it S-U-E. No, it's S-O-O. So there we go.
You've got to get it right.
That's the real one, Chris. That is our bugbear. So now you know.
We've set the record straight there, and I'm so glad that we have. And can I ask you about the famous phrase? Because we just before you came on, actually, we played the first ever episode of Sooty, and the first time that the phrase was used, and you could tell that moment, some kind of magic was captured on the screen there, and it's something that has been used to this day. I mean, you must sense that is part of the story here.
What you mean, izzy wizzy, let's get busy? Well, it is. It's a very important part of the story. Without getting too deep into the history, you have to remember where this came from. Harry Corbett was a magician, an amateur children's party magician, and Sooty was bought initially as a toy for his children, and then he introduced it into his act. So Sooty had a magic wand and was saying izzy wizzy, let's get busy long before his debut on television. It was Harry's little party piece. But interestingly, you know, Harry Corbett was meticulous in the way he kept his scripts. He hand typed everything, and even though it all seemed so natural on screen, he was actually saying the script word for word as he'd written them. And I actually, in my archive, have the page of the very first transmission, and he says, and this is written in typewriter that he wrote, it says, "Hello everybody, my name is Harry. I'm going to introduce you to a magical little friend of mine. I hope he won't be naughty. His name is Sooty." And if he'd have only known that, as you rightly said, that was going to be the start of this incredible heritage and history, and the izzy wizzy let's get busy that was once nothing more than a line that he'd say in the front room of a children's house as part of his party act would become the most popular magic word in you know, or certainly so instrumental in Sooty's career. It is just such a great legacy, and I'm just so proud to be a small part of this show, you know.
And is Sooty looking forward to the show in Skegness? Because that's what we're looking forward to in June.
Yes, well, we love the Embassy Skegness. We've got a bit of history there. We been worked there a few times over the years, in Panto actually some years ago. We had a lovely time, and of course it's the seaside as well, and such a lovely time of the year. So hopefully the sun will be shining and we'll get some fish and chips. But yeah, we'd love to see everybody at Skegness when we get there on Sunday, the 4th of June. We're just doing the one day there. We're in and out, but it's a lovely venue and we'll have some fun, definitely for sure. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on.
Uh-oh.
Don't start banging on the. Oh, hang on a minute. Let him in. It's Sweep is here, Chris.
Wow. Oh.
You can't understand what he's saying, Chris, can you? He's saying hello to you. Say hello to Chris again. Go on.
Oh, hello. How are you doing? Are you well? I hope that's a yes. And are you looking forward to coming to Skegness? I have to say, yeah, the fish and chips are excellent, I must say. Oh, yeah. No, you don't want to go there. No, but I tell you what, yeah, really. Yeah. You'll enjoy it, I promise you.
You see, Chris, you're understanding him.
I just needed to brush
You've
up.
crossed the line. That's what happens. People understand him.
I'm in there now. Oh. Was that I thought that was a goodbye.
Yeah, he's just run off. He spotted the sausages. He's off.
He's a sausage
Sooty's
fiend.
still here, though.
I wonder if
keep doing that with your wand. Ow, get it out my nose. Put it... Messing about. Go on,
I was going to suggest perhaps a battered sausage might be an option, or is it just the pure form that really?
No, it's the pure form. Mind you, we might be a bit battered after you finish with him, Sooty, after the nonsense he's created this morning. But there we go.
I tell you what, we can't wait. It's the 4th, as you say, of June,
Indeed.
and it should be very good fun. It's in Skegness at the Embassy Theatre. Richard, we'll see you and the gang there.
Yes, thanks so much for having us on. And can we finish the interview just like Harry and Matthew have said for all these years? Now I have to do it. We go, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
That might be interesting for the youngsters. Sooty is currently touring the UK, and he is arriving in Cheltenham imminently. Let's talk to Sooty's right-hand man these days, Richard Cadell. Hello, Richard.
Hello, good afternoon, David.
Well, you're bringing Sooty, or Sooty's bringing you, or you're bringing Sooty. Probably, whether he's driving, I don't know.
Sooty most definitely brings me, yeah.
If he brings you, how do you fit in that small van?
Have you never seen it? I'll stick my head out the top. Have you never seen this little tiny
I've seen a little tiny van. I was wondering how you fold yourself into it.
Oh, it's an art form. I've perfected it over the last 14 years.
Tell me about the show. You're coming to the Everyman in Cheltenham, aren't you?
Indeed, we are. Yeah, it's very much kind of a stage version of the telly show, really. And anyone that hasn't seen the current TV show, it doesn't matter. It's exactly the same as it kind of was, 50, 60 years ago when Harry Corbett started doing it. We got Sooty, Sweep and Sue up to their usual tricks, lots of magic, lots of mayhem, lots of mess, lots of audience participation, if I can say it, and giggles as well. Yeah, I mean, the great thing about Sooty on stage is, unlike so many of the other children's characters of today, which are cartoons or animation, they, this is very much as you see it on telly. It's on the stage, so it just transposes, very, very easily. And we've done 100 and something theatres in the last part of the first part of the tour, and we've packed them in, and it's been a sellout, and it's just been such an enjoyable process. And one of the things we do at the end of the show is I take Sooty out into the foyer and it meets all the children on the way out. So if you've ever always wanted to meet Sooty, you can take that box.
What is it about Sooty that spans the generations? Because I grew up watching him. I dare say you did. My generation was the Matthew Corbett generation. My little nephew, who is 18 months old, is besotted with Sooty. He loves him to bits. Why is the enduring appeal?
Do you know, I think it works on so many levels. First of all, it's just innocent. In these times of, sort of madness, really, this is just a throwback to innocent, good, clean, slapstick, silly humour. I think adults trust it because they grew up watching it themselves, so they encourage their children or grandchildren to watch it. They know what they're going to get. And it's just its simplicity, I think, is the key to its success. Harry Corbett was famously asked, and he was the creator of all of these characters, why does it work? And he just said, I don't know, it just does. So there's no real answer other than it just seems to have clicked, and the secret is don't change the format. We're doing it just as it always was done. That's it.
It's very, very special. How did you come to be his right-hand man?
Oh, it was a real journey, and it was kind of one of those jobs that you never thought would be become available. I was a huge Sooty fan and dreamed of being the Matthew Corbett figure. It was just a crazy ambition that was never going to happen because you just think, well, it's always going to be Matthew Corbett or a Corbett. And I was a magician when I was young, hence my interest in magic and Sooty, and I went on to win the Magic Circle's Young Magician of the Year competition when I was 15. Part of the prize was to go on the television Sooty show. And once I was on that set, I just fell in love with it so much, and I think they could all see that, Matthew Corbett particularly. And I sort of kept in touch with a lot of the crew, and then when he was going to retire, this is some 15, 16 years later, they were saying, who could it be? And they sort of said, well, Harry Corbett was a magician, firstly. It needs to be someone that's good at manipulating magic and stuff. And Matthew Corbett said, well, get Richard in. And they called me up and said, would I come in to see about this job? And when I found out what it was, it was just a life-changing moment, and I've loved every second of it. It's a dream.
That must have been very strange for both Matthew Corbett and for you when that first sort of, Sooty, Sweep and co were handed over to you. That must have been very strange.
It was, we did the first series, they're kind of clever on the telly. They sort of phased Matthew out and phased me in. So we did a kind of series where we were both on it. I played the shop assistant in Sooty and Co, and that was Matthew's junk shop. So there was kind of a crossover. But to be honest with you, Matthew, he always said, with sadness, no regrets, because you had to remember his early childhood memory was looking at, so as he lay in his cot, Harry was doing Sooty for him. So he had been surrounded by Sooty all his life. It was just part of his family. And I think Matthew, I don't say he'd had enough because he still has great affection for it, but he was ready to retire and hand it over, whereas I, coming in it as a complete newbie, was full of all the enthusiasm for it, desperate to make it live on. And, I think the time was right. And, he was very happy to see it carry on, and he's extremely proud of the way it's so popular today. I mean, it's more popular now than probably it's been for years and years.
Terrific. I gather you've got Sooty and Sweep there with you.
Well, I can call them over.
Call them
Great
over.
for radio.
You bring them over.
Sooty, when you come over here, hang on. Sooty's waving.
He's waving. He does, yes.
Your listeners.
Absolutely.
I hope that's coming across.
Yes, it's coming across.
Well, Sweep. Sweep, come on,
Come on, Sweep.
Come on.
Hello, Sweep. How are you? Wonderful. I'm taking that's very well. Are you looking forward to coming to Cheltenham? Oh, calm down. Richard, translate for me, will you?
Yeah. Sorry, David.
Translate for me. What did he say?
Translate. He said, all right. Translate. Okay. Be quiet, Sweep. Okay. He just said he's looking forward to coming to Cheltenham and telling all his favourite jokes.
Oh, right.
They're terrible. They're rubbish.
And you've got lots of favourite jokes then, Sweep, yes? Yeah.
You want to hear one?
Go on. I don't know.
That's what's green and hairy and goes up and down.
Oh, there you go. I said I don't know. I got the right line.
A gooseberry and a lip.
I knew that was coming. Richard, Sooty, Sweep and everybody, have a lovely time at the Everyman in Cheltenham. We look forward to welcoming you to Gloucestershire. All the best.
Thank you so much. Bye, David.
Thanks, bye-bye. Bye, Sweep. Bye-bye. Our lifetime's ambition is complete. Richard Goodell, Sooty, Sweep and Co. at the Everyman in Cheltenham on the 15th, which is on Sunday.
Microphone. I don't know. Where is Sweep, Sooty? Gone
Sweep?
outside.
Oh, right.
He's gone.
Okay.
We'll get him in before the end. I promise you. We'll get him in. He's gone out just as we go live. Can't believe it.
He's a bit naughty, isn't he, Sweep? Let's be really honest.
Well, he's a bit of a sausage brain because he's never quite get things right. So he knew he had to be on the radio. So it's just like him to nip out at the wrong time. But hey,
it's a clean.
He'll do definitely. But you're going to say clean sweep.
Sweep, I was, and I stopped myself. I was.
This is the Sooty Show.
Yes.
We like bad jokes on the Sooty Show, and that was a corker.
Well, there we are. You see, to be honest, all weekend the family and I have been watching the Sooty episodes from all over the generations, because when you think back to Dear Harry Corbett, back in the 1950s, wasn't it, originally, of course?
Indeed.
Introducing a new star.
Oh, hello there. I'm so pleased you're here because there's a very interesting parcel just arrived for Sooty. Well, it's a crate, but I don't know what's in it. I think we better get Sooty out and tell him, don't you? Come on, then. Sooty! Sooty! Sooty, come on. Oh, there you are. Well, just wave to your friends. Wave back.
Indeed, yeah. Sooty was first on the BBC in 1952, Harry having discovered him 4 years previously in Blackpool in a joke shop. And here we are, nearly 70 years later, and Sooty's now in the Guinness Book of Records, the longest running children's television show in the world. And it's crazy, isn't it? And every generation, as you say, the whole family can watch it now. And we find as we do our television shows and our stage shows that actually we write now a show which is geared for the whole family. It's not skewed towards a preschool now. We accept that, especially when we do the stage shows, there's more adults in the audience than children, and that's not a joke. You know, they come because they love it and they bring their kids, but they come because they actually want to be there themselves. So it has become this you know, incredibly iconic thing. You know,
we were trying to work out the other night what it is about Sooty and Sweep and Sue, and I think it's the utter chaos that ensues. You know, it's in the post throughout the whole show. You know that something is going to go awry at some point, and half of the fun is working out when it's all going to kick off, isn't it?
Oh, of course, you've got it. I mean, that's the ingredient. You Sooty and Sweep are the classic double act. I mean, Harry Corbett famously modelled them on Laurel and Hardy. That was the thing, and as they've gone through the generations, they've been the Morecambe and Wise, they've been the Ant and Dec. They're just a great double act, and poor Sue in the middle there trying to keep law and sense throughout, and it never works. So, you know, she says don't do that, and that's the cue for them to do it. And then I usually walk in at the last minute and it all crashes down around me. That's the general formula.
Do you know what would be really good? What? I can make something appear out of thin air. How about that?
Gosh, Richard, that was brilliant.
That wasn't me, Sue. But I think I know who it was. Can you have your ball back, please? Right. Here's your ball. But go and play over there. Go on, hop it. Over there.
It's like you could be covered in water, shaving foam. Oh, he's here. How you doing, mate?
You're late, Sweep. Yes, we are on the air. Don't hit the... Stop hitting the microphone. Get off. Don't.
Oh, he's broken it already.
Everything.
I can't believe it. Oh, he's only been in here 5
everywhere.
minutes. Sweep, really, what are you like?
I know you didn't mean to knock the tea over. He said, oh, look, Sue's going to have to put the kettle on again now. She's not going to like that.
No.
Third tea she's made this morning. Believe it, or this afternoon, rather.
Oh, fantastic. You know what's really funny? We were looking at you on the telly the other day at Sweep. You, yes. And what we thought was, it doesn't matter how hard you try, you always get into a bit of trouble, don't you? Yes, you do. I know. Yeah. I know you don't mean to, but, you know, it's just...
Oh, don't fight. He says it's always Sooty that gets him into the... It's not Sooty. Get up!
Get up!
Get up!
More tea all over the place now.
Oh, the water
Sooty.
pistol's come out now.
Oh,
Don't
no,
even
water
think
pistol,
about
no,
that.
Put the water pistol down.
Oh,
We haven't got
put it-
time for...
Get
It's got
up!
on my face now. Oh.
It's only bleach. You're all right.
Could
Don't do
Sooty pass me that towel over? Just
There it is.
drop
Give him the
Sorry
towel
about
and
this.
don't...
Hang on a second. Oh, blimey. Hang on.
Wipe yourself on that.
Hang on, I'm sorry. I'll just put that down. Oh, Sooty. He wouldn't and Sweep as well. Poor old Sooty. I mean, there he is, just minding his own business as usual. Anyway.
It's not funny. No, it's not.
Do you know, I'm going to
Go in
chat
the corner.
to...
They're in the naughty corner now. They're in the naughty
blimey.
corner.
I
Stay
have
in it.
I have brought him a bone. He likes bones, doesn't he?
Oh, don't say that. He's
sorry.
straight back out.
No. Yeah, I know you like bones. I just thought I'd get you one. You don't have that. Just have the one, though.
He's off with the bone.
It's gone.
It's gone with the bone now.
You know where? Oh, yeah. Would you like to borrow my towel? There you go. Richard.
Yeah, go
Sorry.
on.
There we are. Just damp down a bit.
Soaked.
I know, I'd expect no less, really. You know, there's a great video of you where you are in your playroom, as it were, with all the stuff from the previous Sooty shows that you inherited, of course, from Matthew. And it must be wonderful to have all those props from the old shows around you. It must be quite inspiring, I would have thought.
Do you know, it is amazing, yeah. And I came about all that by accident, because what happened is actually rather boring and businesslike, but I bought the rights together with my brother in 2008 for the Sooty show, and we didn't realise when we bought them that there was, you know, a huge archive of props in a container. We were told to go and collect all this stuff, so we didn't know we were going to get it. So wading through all those amazing props, and you're right, it's on YouTube, a video of me going and exploring all this stuff, was incredible.
Do you know, Sooty was such a huge star back in the 50s, and never so more illustrated than in this. This is the copy of the TV Mirror from 1955, June the 11th. And when you glance through this and see all the amazing features in it, they make great reading. They're all full of stars of the moment and stars of that time. But when you get to the back page, you see a double feature with Sooty and Harry advertising absolutely everything, from pipes to peppermints to pens. And on the back page, if that double spread isn't enough, there he is advertising cleaner. Would you believe?
What was the best find of all was Harry Corbett's original hand-typed scripts. And there's the first page from 1952, and in his own scribbled notes alongside it, it says, "Hello, everybody." These are the words, and Harry learned them verbatim. "Hello, everybody. I'm going to introduce you to a little friend of mine. You haven't met him yet. I hope he won't be naughty. His name is Sooty." If only Harry, and I looked at that bit of paper, I thought, my goodness, this is the golden nugget in this treasure trove of props. If only Harry knew what he was typing and how profound that would mean 70 years later.
We're going to be in the company of a couple of showbiz legends, actually. Popular entertainer with more than 60 years at the top of his game. I'm talking about Sooty, of course, and Sweep. Because where would Sooty be without Sweep? Now, the children's television show that bears his name has continued since the 1950s, the longest-running children's programme in the UK, according to the Guinness World Records. And there's no sign of the gang slowing down, as they're currently on tour. Co-star Richard Cadell and Sooty and Sweep join us now. Wonderful welcome to the show, Richard and Sooty and Sweep.
Good morning. Welcome. It's so lovely, and Sooty's very excited to be here. Sweep's just run out. Can you come back and say hello, Sweep? Come on, he's coming now.
That's very nice.
It is, and he's got his magic wand, so he's... Oh, that's it.
Oh, yes. What do you know? I've got somebody that's a little bit shy actually in the studio as well, who's absolutely desperate to meet Sooty and Sweep. And of course, you know you, Richard, but not quite as much. Socky.
Say it as it is, Kat.
Yeah, I always will, Richard. Socky McSockface is here. So, you know, Socky McSockface is a little bit shy. Come on, say hello.
Hello, Sooty. Hello, Sweep. I'm Socky McSockface. Hello.
There we go. Oh, do you know what? Socky McSockface is now blushing, Richard.
Oh, Sweep's blushing too, he said.
Oh, Sooty, you're in... I can't get a word in edgeways. You're in fine voice, Sooty.
That's Sweep.
That's Sweep.
Sooty doesn't say very much.
No, just bangs his cane. Sweep.
Hang on, what's he saying? He wants to know who's Socky McSockface. He's very curious about this. He's going to Google him.
Oh, I might not be on Wikipedia right now, but maybe when I'm a little bit more famous, perhaps I could come on tour with you, Richard, and Sooty and Sweep.
Yeah, well, why not? Do you work cheap? Are you cheap, Socky? Are you in our price range?
I'm very, very cheap. I don't charge a thing. I'm not particularly funny or entertaining, and I'm a little bit grey.
Oh, you'll fit in perfectly then.
Oh, there we are. Right, Socky McSockface is now going to have a lie down. There we are. Thrown over to the corner, on the floor where a sock should always be. Right, sorry, Socky McSockface. Oh, no. Richard, lovely to have you on. So, I mean, you must be quite exhausted, actually, because, you know, you've got to keep Sooty and Sweep. You know, you've got to sort of, you know, keep them behaving. You know, you're responsible for them. You're like a sort of a parent, really, aren't you?
Well, I have become
become that father figure as Harry and Matthew was. You know, I mean, I've done it for 20 years now, and it does feel, they do feel genuinely like my kids, and I love them. I work with them every day. We're, as you rightly say, we're on tour continually, doing our theatre tours, which are forever extending, and which is great. We do the telly show, and we're working on a full-on movie, which is for a major theatrical release next year. So we've got so much on our plate. But it's, you know, it's a crazy life, because it's not really the real world. It's water pistols, custard pies, and lots of giggles with these three little great characters.
Wow.
So it's just such a great existence for me.
That is
But
amazing. That's amazing. And you know, a film, I mean, it just I mean, Sooty and Sweep could have a star potentially on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Well, we certainly think that there's going to be a big audience, because look at Paddington, how successful was that? And that had been away for a long time. So I think we're quietly confident this is going to be wonderful for Sooty. And do you know what's lovely? Matthew Corbett is still a great pal of mine, and he's going to be in the film along with some big stars. He's going to come back and be reunited with Sooty, which I know will please a lot of fans. But it was always Harry Corbett's dream to make a movie, and they started making one in the 70s. Hammer Films, famous for the horror films, got the rights and started making one, and they just couldn't make it happen. So it was always unfinished business for the Corbetts. So to bring Sooty to the big screen in this current era, when people are relishing the sort of children's characters coming to the fore in such a big way, is going to be so exciting for little Sooty and Sweep and Sue and all the fans.
That's fantastic.
It's brilliant.
Are you on Twitter, Richard? Because what I'd like to do is send you a photo of Socky McSockface, by request actually from Socky McSockface and myself.
By request from us. Sooty's nodding. We want to bond with Socky McSockface, Twitter style. Sooty, it's at Sooty and Co.
Fantastic.
Is the Twitter, and of course we got the Facebook. You know, the Sooty Show.
We'll have to get Socky McSockface an agent. You know that.
Yeah, well, he can audition on our show, and I'm sure that Sooty will be able to recommend him through his showbiz connections.
Fantastic.
Yeah, not you know, we'll see how it goes.
Now, look, Basingstoke. You're coming on the tour. You're taking in Basingstoke, which I think is actually the nearest venue to us. So,
Yes.
in 10 seconds, tell me about the show.
It's Sooty doing what he does best: magic, music, lots of mischief, big slapstick, some incredible illusions, lots of audience participation, and it's a show for the whole family. This is not just a kids' show. This is for everybody that loves Sooty, Sweep and Sue. Will have a right old laugh in Basingstoke.
Bring back many
In
childhood
June.
memories of mine. Fantastic. Richard Cadell, thank you very much, and thank you as well to Sooty and Sweep. Wonderful to have. Thank you, Sweep. Thank you very much, Sooty. Thank you. Wonderful to have you all on the show. Absolute legends. You see, there we are. Sooty and Sweep coming to Basingstoke in June.